So with the new PS Plus launching in select Asian markets this week, we've been given a look into how the service handles their classic games, and well, there's a few problems. So PS1 emulation. So big thanks to Mystic and also to Digital Foundry. We are big fans of both of those channels for a lot of their analyses. So, the dreaded, we even joked about it before it launched, kind of joking, hey, PS1 Classic used a lot of PAL versions. They're not going to do that again. That's like obvious, like they've learned that mistake. Wrong so far. So far. Now, again, let's be clear. This is Asia that they're launching in. This is not comparing the US. Having said that, we are in a European market by weird circumstance in Australia. So we're likely to get, we were a PAL region, so we're also more likely to get PAL stuff. But so like PAL version so far, Ape Escape, Karush, how do you say that?
Karushi, that's intelligent.
Sorry, yeah,
That's Intelligent Cube.
Jumping Flash, Wild Arms, Everybody's Golf, and Worms Armageddon.
They're just the ones they might be more. Stuff,
yeah, and there's like NTC versions for Tekken 2, Mr. Driller, Siphon Filter, Toy Story 2. So effectively just at a high level, with those regions, PAL was always like a 50 hertz, so 50 frames a second, kind of like you can think of it that way, or half that, 25 frames a second. NTSC, so Japan and the States, it being 60 hertz, 60 frames or 30 frames, or like divisible by those amounts. So like 20 frames per second, whereas our region was like 18 frames a second. And then you have massive problems with that because you're trying to sync up the frames and it's like a number that's not divisible by the other. So there has to be something you do. So when they launched, there was just like bad frame pacing. You can see it. Like, I don't know if you guys watch the videos, but
yeah,
it's so obvious. It's like, this does not look smooth at all. It looks jarring. But now they're doing like frame blending essentially. Like, okay, we don't have a frame, so let's just merge the next frame and the previous frame together. But then obviously, like we use Photoshop all the time and tools like that. If you do that to every image, there's going to be some weird images that come from that, especially if it's like really different images. So you get that ghosting effect. So disappointing, man. Like, it's incredibly disappointing. And I want to get onto heaps of other stuff with it, but what is your reaction, Sweetie?
Look, my reaction is similar to the initial reaction when Nintendo first released the N64 emulator on Switch Online, which is, for a lot of people, it's going to be their first exposure and impression of these games. If it's like this when it comes to other markets.
Yeah.
And that really sucks, especially people that don't follow this stuff. They're not going to know that these games aren't running at what they should be or what is optimal for them. Yeah. And they're going to be like, these games feel bad.
Like Ape Escape, right?
Yeah, they just don't feel right. And that really sucks because that's one of the great things about this service to me. It's introducing a lot of these classic games to people that haven't played them before. They may have heard the names. So it really sucks, and it's the fact that they have gone through this before. Now, I can't remember if it was Digital Founder or someone else was saying their assumption is because of the language options available in the PAL versions, that's often why they've gone with those. But sure. Man, Mike, why are you wearing a fucking Batman mask in the middle of a PlayStation 1 emulation sequence? All right. It sucks. What can I say? It sucks.
So because some regions they make you release it in multiple languages. Like I think that's the case in Canada. You need to have French as an option, I believe, in some of those regions if you want to release a game. But yeah, like I agree. Like with the biggest thing that they said in it, just give people the option to be able to install either version. Like for sure you'd rather play Ape Escape, even if you don't understand the language. If you're German, you don't understand English. I would play the English version over.
That's racist.
I think you can tell Mike's interest level in PlayStation 1 emulation,
or just like the show in general.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to entertain the crowd. Come on.
Entertain the crowd. Most people are listening audio.
We're trying to inform as much as we,
Okay. You
as
guys
we can
inform, I entertain.
on a topic that we're very, like, I'm quite ignorant of, but we're at least trying to inform people.
Oh, well, I don't
Yeah.
think we're totally ignorant of it.
I said I'm ignorant.
I don't think you're ignorant of it. I think this is worse though than even the 64 launch, to be honest, because most of the games were fine on the 64 launch. It's very disappointing that major games like Ocarina of Time were very poorly represented by how they launched it, but it just seems like most of the games in this have issues, like one or two issues with them. And can we move on to, like, is that it? Like, really? Like, did I misinterpret something here? Like, when they
What?
go, here's the library of the PlayStation 1 games.
What,
And it's-
what was I talking about last time, man?
I know,
it's
but,
next
like-
to nothing.
Yeah, man.
It's nothing. I no, because but Swinny, as I said, they're gonna I like they said there's 700 games. They said that, and I'm like, where the fuck are the games, man? And then someone was like, oh, are they counting the PS4 and PS5 version as 2 games?
Oh,
So I started-
that would be
No,
the
dude,
biggest
dude.
That's
load
kind
of
of dodgy if
shit
that's the
ever.
case, yeah.
Do the numbers based on that, and it makes more sense. And I'm like, that is dog shit. That is bullshit.
Because basically, like, you can, when you choose one of these classic games, you choose a PS4 or PS5 version. And if
Okay.
they're counting each version of that as a separate SKU or separate game, what a fucking misleading bullshit if that's the case. Now, in saying that, a lot of the library that came out from the Asia launch, like, there's a lot of great stuff in there, but this classic library is so lacking. Now, obviously, they'll add to it. But man, like, there's
I just don't know.
there's not a single Twisted Metal PlayStation game on there. No, come on.
But also, where is all the PlayStation 2 games? Like, I'm actually super confused by this service. Like,
Well, they're there, but they're PS4 games.
but that's not PlayStation 2 games. Like, it's like I'm a big fan of PlayStation. I find this launch so fucking baffling. What they're doing with this, it's so like is this the team that launched the PS1 Classic, who then shifted onto this project and totally fucked it up as well? It seems in a weird way worse than what they had before with PlayStation Plus and PS Now.
I just have a feeling execs come in and go, can't be that hard. Let's go do this. You've got a budget of X amount. This is the time you get. And they don't realize it's not that simple to do some of this shit.
We know how the man at the top feels about classic PlayStation.
We
games.
also,
It's true.
exactly.
It's true.
So there you go. I just think they were under budget. And guaranteed the people working on this raised the red flags. They said, nah, this isn't going to work. You're not giving us enough time. You guys need to,
You make a
think about
very
this properly.
serious point, Batman.
You're welcome.
I still I can't get
Hello,
over
Joe.
this. I just double checked it. They literally said there's going to be 700 plus games launching in June, right?
whoa.
How does the numbers add up? There's 269 games total in Asia. 269, right? Now they don't get PS3 like us, right? And we'll move on to PS3 as well, right? With this comment, but how are they going to get to 700? It doesn't. I honestly
I'll tell
think,
you how.
No, dude, I think so. I think people are right. They are double counting the games, saying
Yeah.
there's PS4 games and PS5 games, so that doubles it to about 500, and then add 100 PS3 games that are going to have PS4 and PS5 options, and they'll get you to 700. If that's the case,
Yeah.
that's fucking bullshit. That is like the biggest lie ever.
Let me analyze this with science. 250 times 2
Just marking the bits I'm going to edit.
is
out of the show.
500.
So,
I wish this had alcohol in it right now.
yeah, go on, Swinny.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, look, even if they're gonna add a whole bunch more for like the American market, like that's screwed over like people in Malaysia and stuff that were
Oh, and us. You don't reckon
and
we're
us,
going to get
but
screwed?
no, but I'm just saying it's like even then it's like second class citizens if that's the case, you know.
But also, why would they do that? I don't like. I get it if there's like maybe a couple of dozen games different. You know what I mean? Because of licensing, it's super hard. They don't know who owns a certain game in a region because that was more common back then. But yeah, it just seems total bullshit. Like, there's 0 PS2 games. PSP, there's 1 PSP game.
One single.
One fucking PSP
That's
game.
really weird.
What the fuck?
That's the weirdest
And
part. Yeah,
It's a port.
Why?
Yeah, and it's
It's a fucking
a-
port.
And it's one that has a PS3 version that you can like.
Maybe that's the reason why they did it.
I'm
'cause
actually
it's-
like getting angry
actually the
about this
PS3
shit. I'm
version.
actually getting angry about this shit. I feel like if this is Nintendo doing this, people would rip this like to shreds. Honestly, like people are not like critical enough of Sony with this bullshit.
Well, Nintendo kind of did some of this.
What are you talking about? What?
Well,
like,
I think no.
they
as in
never
when
said
did
there's
the-
gonna be
no, but they-
700
no, no,
like
no, 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 no.
NES
So-
and
no, no,
SNES
but what-
games.
So that's the smart thing about Nintendo because they probably
not
knew they
lying.
wouldn't be able to do that. But when they did do the 64 shit, they screwed that up too.
Yeah, but again,
And it was such a limited number of games as well. So,
But they
they
didn't
never
say there's going
promised
to
it
be
was
more.
going to be 100 games.
Yeah, they didn't
No, but
say
it's-
there's going to be more games than what they delivered. That's
no,
the
I
thing.
know what you mean, but
They over delivered that stuff because they
Sony's-
released games straight away after it as well.
Yeah, but they screwed up the release of those games initially.
But only a
and
couple,
it was a small
not
set.
not most of the games. Like most of
Yeah,
the games
well.
don't work well in this version. I wouldn't want to play them. Honestly, play them on emulation. It's way better. Like way better. And you can play more actual PS2 games. There's no fucking PS2 games on this thing. So with PS3, there's no DLC with the streaming. What the fuck are they doing?
Like with this one is
Huh.
this one is really weird because like you've got games like Asura's Wrath, which is the one that all the articles pointing out, but it's so true. That game, the DLC actually finishes the story of the game. It's horrible. It's horrible game design by Capcom, but it's
Yeah,
literally
but
the game story requires a DLC if you want to finish it. And even if you own the DLC, it still doesn't matter. It
Yeah, but
doesn't
if you
matter.
guys look at how the technology, how they've actually implemented this technology, because there's a great article about this. That it's because whenever you go to play a game, so say you want to play the particular game you mentioned, there's someone somewhere on the other side of the planet, I think, I don't know where the servers are, that physically has to put the disc in. And the disc itself doesn't have the DLC.
You're an
So,
idiot. You're a
If
fucking
you're trying
idiot.
to play the game, well, it makes sense, right? Where the hell are they going to get the DLC from? They can't just swap another disc with the DLC into it.
You know what's funny about it? What you're saying? It's kind of actually like not that much far away from what you're saying. Is what they actually
joking,
do.
but that's probably kind of what.
No, because they
Well,
have
not the physical display.
no. They actually physically have PS3s, physical real PS3s hooked up to this, like ripped apart, but it's their motherboards
Okay.
and stuff.
So
it's kind
maybe
of crazy.
maybe it is literally how it gets done, and then it
Maybe-
reroutes to a game that isn't a particular.
I mean, maybe
don't
that's true. Maybe they just don't know how to even kind of apply the DLC to it. It's like they can't work it out.
Can I just say the next one we've got, the subscription stacking stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to say up front that trying to understand everything that's
What's
going
going on,
around
yeah.
this bullshit was like trying to figure out a Professor Layton puzzle. It was like
Okay. I know
it
you've.
was.
I
it
know
was
you've written
kind
the
of
notes,
crazy.
but I know exactly what's happened here, right?
Please explain.
So I'll explain. Like I'll explain it into detail. All right.
Paying
There are
attention.
2 ways that you can sign up to PlayStation Plus via the PlayStation itself, Sony, or you can get a redemption code from a retailer. In Australia, that'd be EB Games, JB Hi-Fi, right? If you get it via discount at JB Hi-Fi, EB Games, PlayStation doesn't know if it's on discount or not. It's just a legit subscription. They had a technical issue, which was they do have discounted PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation itself. So you can, from time to time, it's not common. So people who signed up via that, so it was usually about 33% off. When they went to redeem and upgrade their membership, the system treated it like, okay, they've only paid, whatever it is, $50
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
$75. So the system, the coding obviously just said, okay, we'll take the amount that you need to pay minus what you paid, which was like $50,
yeah.
not 75,
Okay, I get
right?
it now. I get it now. Yeah.
That's what happened. So if you signed up for the normal one, it just came through the system as $75. You didn't have to pay extra. It was just an error. Like I give PlayStation a break for that because they're paying people back already now.
So
Like
what
they're already
about-
starting to process that.
And they
What
fixed
about these allegations that alleged support email that had it in a script? Though?
100%. But you know what happens? It's like, number one, the support people, they have to come up with a resolution. Sometimes they go to, like this happens in my world, they'll come to head office, go, what do you want us to say? And it's like, well, I can't tell you right now because we're going to have a big meeting about it and then we'll tell you in a week's time. They need to say something to people, right? And the fact was they are charging people. So I can kind of understand why the help desk said, well, we're charging people. We haven't been told this is an error. We just have to say that that's how the service works. I do kind of get that. And the fact that they've corrected it and they're fixing it, they're paying people back, I kind of give them a pass on that. The stacking, I don't know. Like, I'd love to know what you guys think about it. So people have stacked, I've seen people online stack out to like 2042, right? Their subscriptions. The challenge is if they upgrade at all to the next tier up or the tier beyond that, they have to pay all of the future months up front. And it could be like $1,000 or something like
honestly, that. That almost makes sense to me because you've activated your subscription for that long. So
yeah, I kind of am the same. Yeah,
yeah, it's weird.
That part makes
makes
sense to me. Yeah.
But thanks for explaining the other thing because that was obviously
it was confusing. Yeah,
but like everyone, like, yeah, all right, cool.
People want to go
it
crazy about it, right? I think get crazy about the games, not the subscription service itself. But yeah, what was it about to say, Mike? Sorry.
No, I was going to say the stacking thing's an interesting one. It kind of makes sense, but at the same time, if they really wanted to, they could have coded it so you still have a subscription until 2030, but your upgrade is only for a year, and then you revert back to that. But you can't really revert back to that because that thing doesn't kind of exist anymore. So
and then you're gonna get people pissed off and go, what's happening? The biggest flaw is that they allow people to redeem for like 10 years or 15 years.
That's
the biggest flaw.
I mean, it's awesome for people in some ways,
not really, because like
not really when this happens. Yeah.
As a business, I wouldn't want to like effectively. I now have a liability. There's an obligation to comply with something. I don't know if we want to run this business for 15 years. You know what I mean? So I think it's stupid on their business part. So, but yeah,
it's probably something in the T's and C's when you go to redeem that says the service may not continue.
Yeah, and they don't allow it anymore from what I understand. So I'm not sure if they're going to undo that after everyone converts over. But I have to say now, guys, like with all this shit coming out, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to upgrade. No way.
It's gone from, hey, I'm interested to I'm going to wait, which is not a feeling
they iron it out.
They should be.
It's kind of crazy, man. Like last week I was like, I might even actually be a dog and subscribe to this shit, even though I said I wouldn't.
I want to play Wild Arms, but I don't want to play it. Like,
no, have you seen
the
it?
version?
But have you seen the footage? It's so choppy. It's like, God, it's so embarrassing. All right. Sony, bit of an up and down week this week. Do you want to cover the next one, Swinny?